Get ready, pulse-pounding news is here. The world is moving at lightning speed, and staying ahead of the curve means knowing what's happening right now asterisk. Today, we're diving deep into stories that are shaping industries, sparking global conversations, and setting the agenda for tomorrow. From unprecedented government interventions in major corporations to complex international diplomatic maneuvers, this is your essential briefing. We've got the inside scoop on seismic shifts in technology and national policy that you absolutely cannot afford to miss. So buckle up, because the information revolution is happening, and you're about to get the front row seat. Let's get into it. First up, is the government becoming a silent partner in big tech? We're breaking down a groundbreaking deal that could redefine corporate ownership and state influence. Then, we're heading down under for a diplomatic drama that's raising serious questions about trust and intelligence. After that, get ready for a deep dive into the evolving landscape of chip manufacturing and what it means for the future of technology. And finally, we'll explore another angle on a tech giant's financial strategies that could have major implications. Stick around, because this is Qualcomm Pulse, and you're getting the unfiltered truth on the stories that matter. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Government takes a stake, a new era of corporate partnership. The lines between public and private sectors are blurring in unprecedented ways. In a move that has sent ripples through the financial and political landscapes, the U.S. government has secured a significant equity stake in a major technology corporation, marking a potential paradigm shift in how the state interacts with private industry. This groundbreaking deal, valued at approximately $8.9 billion, converts prior government grants into a roughly 10% ownership stake in Intel Corporation. The administration has openly embraced this strategy, with the president reportedly stating an intent to pursue similar deals all day long to maximize government gains. While proponents frame this as astute dealmaking and a mechanism to bolster domestic industry, critics argue it represents a form of partial nationalization, a policy historically associated with collectivist economic models. This development challenges long-held principles of free market capitalism, where the government's role is typically to foster, not directly participate in, business operations. Critics point to this as a departure from classical liberal ideals, where minimal state intervention is seen as crucial for fostering organic growth, innovation, and competitive markets. The government's direct interest in a private firm's operations could lead to increased influence over corporate decisions, potentially stifling innovation and competition in the long run. This precedent is particularly concerning, as it could embolden future administrations, regardless of their political leaning, to expand such state interventions, citing this deal as justification. The implications are far-reaching, suggesting a potential move away from a purely free market economy towards a more state-directed model. This shift is not isolated. Analysts observe a broader trend across the political spectrum towards collectivist policies, with both major parties increasingly adopting measures that concentrate power in government hands, whether through social programs and regulations or through industrial subsidies and state-directed investments. This convergence, critics warn, marginalizes advocates of individual liberties and free market principles, potentially leading to an erosion of the economic freedoms that have historically driven innovation and prosperity. The long-term consequences of this state-corporate partnership remain to be seen, but it undoubtedly signals a significant moment in economic policy. This development has sparked intense debate among industry leaders, economists, and the public, with many questioning the long-term implications for market dynamics and government overreach. Hold on to your hats, because the economic landscape is shifting, and we're about to explore how international relations are also taking unexpected turns. Australia's diplomatic gambit, trust and intelligence under fire. An international incident is testing the foundations of diplomatic trust and intelligence credibility. Australia has recently taken a bold diplomatic stance against Iran, expelling the Iranian ambassador and 3 other officials based on intelligence provided by the Australian Security Intelligence Organisation, ASIO. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese stated that ASIO presented credible evidence linking Iran to anti-Semitic attacks in Sydney and Melbourne. However, this decisive action, intended to uphold social cohesion and condemn foreign interference on Australian soil, has ignited a firestorm of skepticism and debate, both domestically and internationally. Critics argue that the government's uncritical acceptance of ASIO's findings, coupled with the ambiguous language used, such as likely and possible, has severely damaged public confidence in the nation's intelligence agencies. Concerns have been raised about the transparency and potential politicization of intelligence reports, particularly given the context of global geopolitical tensions and existing public distrust in such agencies, which some analysts believe has eroded over the past few decades. The involvement of foreign partners, with reports suggesting collaboration with Israeli intelligence agency, Mossad, and potentially the U.S., has further fueled these suspicions. Analysts like Warwick Powell, an adjunct professor at Queensland University of Technology, note that a significant portion of the public is no longer willing to accept intelligence pronouncements without scrutiny, citing the rapid dissemination of information and counter-narratives through independent media and social media platforms. The timing of this expulsion, occurring amidst international criticism of Israel's actions in Gaza and its impact on civilian populations, has also drawn sharp commentary. Critics question the perceived double standard, highlighting the contrast between Australia's swift condemnation of Iran and its response to the ongoing conflict in Gaza. This perceived hypocrisy, they argue, suggests that Australia's foreign policy priorities may be heavily influenced by other nations, particularly the U.S. and Israel. The decision to designate the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps, IRGC, as a terrorist organization, following similar moves by the U.S. and Canada, aligns Australia with its Five Eyes partners and signals a hardening of its stance. However, as Australia tightens its intelligence and security measures, there are concerns that this move could be used to justify increased state powers and potentially condition the public for greater involvement in international conflicts. The broader context includes a pattern of intelligence agencies in Western nations, including the UK and New Zealand, issuing warnings about state-sponsored activities and foreign interference, often citing Russia, China, and Iran. These assessments, often shared across the Five Eyes network, are increasingly being met with skepticism, particularly when they appear to align with specific geopolitical agendas. The situation underscores a growing public demand for transparency and accountability in intelligence matters, challenging the traditional deference afforded to state security apparatuses. This diplomatic maneuver has not only strained relations with Iran, but also sparked a crucial conversation about the reliability of intelligence and the government's susceptibility to foreign influence. Now, let's shift gears from international diplomacy to the intricate world of technology and finance, where a major chip manufacturer is navigating a complex partnership. Intel's strategic pivot, navigating government grants and market realities. A tech giant is restructuring its financial agreements, sparking discussions about its future. Intel Corporation has recently amended its direct funding agreement with the U.S. Department of Commerce, a move that significantly alters the terms of its financial relationship with the government under the CHIPS Act. The amendment removes several key obligations for Intel, including stringent project milestone requirements and workforce policy mandates, while retaining certain restrictions stipulated by the Act. This adjustment has paved the way for the closing of a purchase agreement, through which Intel will receive $5.695 billion in accelerated disbursements. In return, Intel is issuing shares and warrants to the Department of Commerce, a transaction that directly impacts its financial operations and strategic positioning within the highly competitive semiconductor industry. The CHIPS Act, designed to boost domestic semiconductor manufacturing and research, has led to substantial government investment in companies like Intel. However, the specifics of these agreements, particularly concerning equity stakes and performance-based milestones, are critical for understanding the long-term implications for both the companies and the government. Intel's overall stock performance has been a subject of concern, with AI analyst reports highlighting financial challenges, including negative profitability and cash flow issues, despite positive technical momentum. Valuation metrics also suggest potential overvaluation, adding to investor caution. The company's strategic initiatives and investments offer some positive outlook, but persistent challenges in improving margins and its competitive positioning remain. Adding another layer to this complex financial landscape is the stipulation within the CHIPS Act agreement that for 5 years, Intel must maintain at least a 51% ownership of its foundry business. Should Intel fall below this threshold, the U.S. government holds the option to acquire an additional 5% stake in the company at a predetermined price of $20 per share. This provision is particularly noteworthy given Intel's current share price, which has seen significant fluctuations and is trading at a historic low compared to its peaks in late 2023 and early 2020. The potential exercise of this warrant could see the government acquire a substantial portion of Intel for approximately $4.3 billion, a figure that reflects the agreed-upon price per share rather than the current market value. Intel's CFO has expressed confidence that the company will not likely reduce its stake below the 50% threshold, suggesting that the warrant is expected to expire. This stipulation appears designed to pressure Intel into maintaining control over its foundry business, aligning with the U.S. government's broader objective of supporting domestic industry and reducing reliance on foreign manufacturing hubs. The risk of losing control of its foundry could lead to instability or the piecemeal sale of the company's assets, a scenario the government is keen to avoid. Despite these financial maneuvers and market pressures, Intel remains a critical player in the global technology ecosystem, and the government's investment underscores its strategic importance. The successful execution of these agreements will be crucial for Intel's ability to compete with rivals like TSMC and secure its future in the advanced chip manufacturing sector. This intricate financial dance between Intel and the U.S. government highlights the high stakes involved in securing the future of domestic chip production. We've seen how government influence can shape corporate futures. Now let's look at another angle of how government action might impact a major tech player's stock value. Government's potential stake increase, a closer look at Intel's deal. A critical clause in a major tech deal could significantly alter government's stake. Further details are emerging about the financial arrangements between Intel and the U.S. government, specifically concerning the implications of the CHIPS Act funding. While Intel has agreed to a 10% equity stake in exchange for $8.9 billion in federal grants, a key stipulation within the agreement could allow the U.S. government to increase its ownership if Intel fails to maintain control over its chip manufacturing business, known as its foundry. This provision states that for a period of 5 years, Intel must retain at least 51% ownership of its foundry operations. If Intel's ownership falls below this threshold, the U.S. government has the option to purchase an additional 5% of Intel's shares at a fixed price of $20 per share. This scenario is particularly relevant given Intel's current market performance. The company's shares have experienced a significant decline, trading at historic lows not seen since 2013. As of recent reports, Intel's stock was valued at just under $24 per share, a stark contrast to its peak of $70 in January 2020 and $50 in December 2023. With approximately 4.3 billion shares outstanding, a 5% stake at $20 per share would amount to an investment of roughly $4.3 billion for the government. This potential acquisition represents a substantial financial commitment, though it is less than the initial $8.9 billion grant. Intel's chief financial officer, David Zinsner, has indicated that the company does not anticipate its stake falling below 50%, suggesting confidence that the government's option will likely expire. He further elaborated that the government shares this sentiment, as their objective is to prevent Intel from spinning off or selling its foundry business to third parties. This strategic stipulation appears to be a mechanism to ensure Intel's commitment to its domestic manufacturing capabilities, aligning with the U.S. government's broader agenda to bolster national semiconductor production and reduce reliance on foreign supply chains. The government's intervention, through the CHIPS Act funding and these conditional agreements, underscores its commitment to revitalizing the U.S. semiconductor industry. However, the potential for the government to increase its stake highlights the inherent risks and performance expectations tied to this substantial financial support. The market's reaction to these developments will likely depend on Intel's ability to meet its operational and financial targets, as well as its success in securing crucial customer contracts for its advanced manufacturing processes. The long-term viability of Intel's foundry business is critical, not only for the company's own future, but also for the broader U.S. technological and economic security. The government's significant financial commitment and the associated conditional clauses signal a high level of strategic interest in Intel's success, potentially shaping the company's operational decisions and long-term planning. This intricate financial arrangement underscores the government's vested interest in Intel's foundry business and its potential to deepen its involvement should certain conditions not be met. We've covered a lot of ground today, from international diplomacy to high-stakes tech finance. But before you go, let's do a quick recap of the biggest stories. And that's a wrap on today's essential updates. We saw the U.S. government taking a significant equity stake in Intel, potentially reshaping corporate ownership. Then, Australia's diplomatic move against Iran raised critical questions about intelligence credibility. We also explored the intricate financial amendments to Intel's CHIPS Act agreement and the government's potential to increase its stake. Don't miss out on future crucial insights. Hit that like button, subscribe to Qualcomm Pulse for your daily dose of essential news, ring that notification bell so you're always in the loop, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Plus, follow us on all our social channels for more exclusive content. We'll see you next time.